Hey everyone, you're with Mind Body Solutions and the MBS crew. We've got Amy and Jeff and Kim and Joe and another Jeff. You'll see us all going through this one. This one is on the core sensation of rhythm. Now, if you think about rhythm, it's a felt sensation. It's joyful, and it's also calming. It's one of the best ways we're connected to what surrounds us. And it also is how we connect to other people. The sensation of rhythm can be calming. Think about like swaddling a baby with boundary in a blanket and then rocking it the way a mother does. It can calm the nervous system. It can also be joyous like ecstatic dancing, right? So it can be anything we make it to be. It just makes us feel good. So the one thing, I've been living with since I was 13, I've been paralyzed from the chest down. And one of the things I've recognized, especially after becoming a yoga teacher, is that the sensation of rhythm is too easily given up for people that live with trauma, loss, and disability. It's a loss that I absorbed too deeply and I didn't have to. That in fact, rhythm is not dependent on always smooth, coordinated movements. Rhythm doesn't have to be big movements. It can be tiny movements. In fact, tiny movements are often the most rhythmic. So the sensation of rhythm, especially felt from the spine out through the limbs, is one of those sensations that because the rehabilitation model is so focused on trying to help me get back to my ordinary life, they forget that maybe I should practice feeling things through my whole body. Like for example, when someone in a wheelchair tries to dance, it's fine if they dance with their wheelchair, that's fine. But what about, shaking it up and moving and having it be so the movements are with my whole body? That kind of rhythm, that kind of sensual connection to what's outside of you is why rhythm's a core sensation in human consciousness, but also in yoga poses. So to begin, what we're going to do is Amy and Jeffrey are going to show some basic rhythm things, and especially watch the freedom that starts to happen and also the connection that happens. Because people with disability have a hard time being connected to people around them. And that's just the truth.
So Jeffrey and I have been playing with rhythm for years now, haven't we? Did you want to tell a little story about one of the times when you and I first kind of connected?
I was still in a wheelchair then, and I had thought I lost the sense of rhythm, and you did what on the knees, and you did it like I was running, and I was pushing myself crossing a finish line. It was so great, because it really felt the sensation of walking, not just on my feet, but on my whole body.
Yeah, I think just like Matthew said, is that we too often give up that sense of rhythm, and there's no reason to do that. So Jeffrey and I are going to play with rhythm just a little bit, and we're going to start really with very small movements. So Jeffrey, let's just our hands are out here. Have your hands just lightly on your knees, and let's just start with just moving the fingers. Yeah. Now let's not move them harshly. Let's just kind of up and down, just a little. Yeah. Let's do a little bit of that. Feels kind of good. So just starting to move in whatever range you have. And of course, when you're working with your students, again, it doesn't have to be big and grandiose, just like Matthew was saying. Yeah, and let's make it a little bit bigger now, and just back and forth. You got it. And of course, it doesn't have to be my speed. You work at your rhythm, I'll work at mine. Eventually, we'll sync up. We usually do. And just making little movements. Make up what feels good for you and your students. And now let's just put our palms down. And then let's start just moving our elbows back, one and then the other. So just back one and then the other. Just kind of start and keeping it gliding, like there's no stopping. You're just kind of gliding. All right, now start bringing your spine into it. Yeah, there you go. So let's go a little slower and just start bringing the spine into it. Good. Yeah. Oh, you're maybe a little rocking. So let's bring a little rocking into it because that feels good too. Help your students begin to play again. Joyful, investigative.
Here, there's play.
It is, isn't it? We get way too serious with this yoga stuff. And then let's go a little sideways. So like we're a snake here. So bring your ribs toward me in a way. Yeah, so we can be rocking, whatever feels good. And just find a rhythm, whatever your rhythm feels like. Well, yeah, you want to sync up, don't you? I like to sync it up too. And then let's add some shoulders again. So shoulders up. Yeah, there we go. That's it, man. Good. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, there we go. Nice. Oh, I like that. And so, yeah. And so he starts leading me. Yes. Very nice. I like it. Good.
It just feels so good to move.
It just feels so good to move, doesn't it? And let's bring our hands down, and then we always have to do the wavy gravy. I always like doing a little bit of wavy gravy. So let's just kind of start whatever that feels like, whenever it looks right and feels right to you. And then let's come on back to the center, and then be in the center. So what do you feel when
Happy. Seasoning. I felt so good.
there's a certain joy that just comes out of the spine when you do that? I know, I feel the same way. Let's rock back on our hips. And now let's come forward and lift the chest. And again, we're making this movement into a pretty big movement, but this can be, rather than a big cat-cow, it could even just be a little kitty-cat, where you're just simply moving the sternum. And so finding that amplitude of movement that feels right for you.
And then he's going to keep doing that. I'm just going to touch him between the shoulder blades so he gets the sensation of boundary and company. Keep waving the in. Wait, so it just keeps, there you go.
And then let's come back to the center. Be in the center. So it's always good, as Matthew said, to teach by contrast. So move a little bit, pause. Move a little bit, pause. And then let's just take some big circles with our trunk. Really feeling your sits bones. So moving around on the sitting bones here.
How can I not?
How can you not? And then let's go the other way. We could do this forever, but we probably shouldn't. And then shake it up a little bit. Shake your behind a little bit. There you go. Yeah. Whatever that looks like. Nice. And then come back to a still point. Be in the center. There's more. All right. So how about back to back?
But then one thing I just want to say is that, what you don't realize is rhythm is also neurologically incredibly complex. So for someone that's maybe been injured with the brain sometimes, it's like this type of stuff it feels good and it's firing everything in the brain. Because like the difference between, and this is type of like connection to rhythm will help Jeffrey like walk and move around and cross the street and not startle when a car's coming at him. All those things are because rhythm is smooth and wavy. And that's a sensation that we don't ever want to give up. And it's contagious, as you can see. All right, so start the back-to-back things. That's awesome.
Back's on you slide up or the edge. And then I'm going to sit back to back with you.
So I like this one because the spine then gets supported. There's a little very deep truth. Support the spine, calm the mind. Calm the mind, make it more joyful, right? And rhythm does all of it.
All right. You ready? So we're going to hook arms. So we'll hook arms and we'll just start moving. And again, the movements don't need to be huge, but they can be. It's up to you.
I'm tired.
So we'll start in one plane, just going back and forth. And this feels good, but there's more. So we're going to take it in circles. Be creative. Whatever position works for you. Thinking it that way. Oh, that does feel good, doesn't it? Okay, let's go. I know, let's go the other way. And then you want to try arms out. We're going to take our arms out and we'll take a big side bend. Oh yeah, there you go.
But you got grounding happening on the spine. You've got rhythm happening. There's a balance happening. And like here, expansion happening. So you're starting to see all the core sensations integrated into what seems like a simple movement, but it's actually teaching the foundational core sensations that need to be the goals of every yoga pose.
And we'll do a little sea turtle.
And the thing is, for us that are watching, like the other thing about rhythm is you can get like contact highs. Like it feels good just to be around it. You don't, and I'm not doing it. I can't balance like that. And so it's like, it just feels good to be around.
And then we'll come to a still point again. So we'll drop our arms back to back, my spine against Jeffrey's spine.
And I can really feel it.
Yeah, I can really feel it too. And then, of course, we do the same thing with the other person's arms on top. So my arms were underneath Jeffrey's last time, and we do the same thing with my arms on top, but for the...
It's the same. Hit the repeat button, just with the arms in different positions. So now we're going to show some variations of rhythm. And one of the things that Joe has been, how long have you been practicing yoga with us?
Oh, since 2000.
Long time. And the integration of rhythm as a core sensation came a lot because of working with Joe. And it's a long story, but basically he's a ballroom dancer. And when I met him, he was in a chair. I kind of made this crack one day that he was not like a full of rhythm like a dancer. And he said he corrected me right on the spot. And in fact, he was very much so. So that got me thinking, if you can't do as much integrated, coordinated movement, how can we figure out how to inject the sensation of rhythm right directly into the spine and let the spine move it in the other direction? So a lot of the things you're going to see in the next few minutes are ways in which we are trying to get the sensation of rhythm to enter through the body into the spine and back out the other way. So with Joe here, like we're going to do a couple of things where we're going to push on his knees again and do it with even more rhythm in mind. So Amy's going to be on her hands and knees and push in, and you rise up, Joe, right? With it, follow the sensation, and then go. And actually, I'm going to put my hand behind your back again, make it less comfortable, right? And so we're going, and you're feeling, right? So I'm going to push in when she comes in, right? And then back. And then Amy's going to maybe we're doing it first equally on each knee. So I'm touching his spine, she's touching his knees, and the integration from bottom to top is becoming part of the rhythm that he gets to mark into his spine. And then push more on one knee maybe, and then the other, and here's Joe going right to his shoulders. So rhythm, you're just watching it right there. It's an integrating sensation. So again, in a lot of these things you're going to see, and then come back to the center again, right? What you're going to see in a lot of these things, and then release, is that we want it to come in first on a simpler thing and then add, just like the way that Jeffrey and Amy were doing it there. So from here, we're going to over here. So Jeffrey, you get to like follow and move the whole thing. So it comes in, right? Are you going, both at the same time again? So like, and then start to decide, like kind of express how you want your arms, or maybe they lift up while you do it, while it comes in, and then down when, right? And he starts like figuring out what the relationship is to a grounded rhythmic movement and how the rest of his body moves. That integration of grounded rhythmic movement throughout the whole body is what a yoga pose is. So then, Jeff, take one arm up over your head as she pushes in on your knees. Make it all go, right? And then exhaling down. And then she pushes in and you go up. Now you can imagine Jeff doing this without Bethany pushing, right? But we want more input coming to his brain. Now do both arms at a time, right? And this will be less on balance, but you're trying to integrate the movements and then back down. I hope you're inhaling when your arms come up, right? Right? Because he's getting the whole rhythm of it, and then exhale with it down. And so there's a coordination on a more subconscious level. The brain is getting input in a rhythmic fashion. One more time. Yep. And then down. And now we're then going to feet to feet. So here, now, are we doing it on Jeffrey too? Okay. Okay. So here, Kim is not able to sit without strain. So Molly, by the way, the new crew member here, Molly, in this shot, right? She's getting the calming, grounding sensation on the back, which also enhances this core sensation of balance. So Kim can truly receive the rhythm. So talk this through what you're doing.
So again, I'm lining myself up with Kim, and I'm just assisting with bringing Kim's left foot more toward the midline. Remember, when we give reference, we're not trying to correct a pose. We're trying to help show direction to reveal a pose. So I'm not trying to crank her leg all the way to the midline, but give that leg a little bit of relief and a little bit of direction. So I'm bringing her leg toward the midline, and then one leg and then the other, just along kind of the long axis of our legs. We're just starting to share rhythm.
And so I like it. Molly's actually getting through all the way through the spines to her body, right? So this becomes a collective thing across the empty abyss in the room. So there's a way in which rhythm connects in this intangible way through space. Just like music comes through space, right? Comes through space and interacts with our bodies. So again, we're trying to get to inject rhythm into places that you would not be able to get. Like I wouldn't be able to do this unless someone helped me feel this lightening, calming, invigorating sensation of rhythm.
Then we come to a still point, just like when Jeffrey and I were sharing rhythm. Come to that still point and feel that sensation, and then slowly separate.
Always teaching by contrast. The mind needs contrast in order to realize. So it's the last of the party. So it needs, and the mind also learns more from losing than receiving, which is a bummer for human beings, but it is the case. So we're doing something here with, so the final one, and this is the one that, like, we have people that can no longer walk. This is one of the ways that they start to feel the sensation of movement that they can no longer fully do. So Bethany kind of just, way she's pushing. Why don't you describe what she's doing, Amy?
So Bethany, again, lines herself up with Jeffrey, and same thing that I was doing with Kim, except we just have Jeffrey in a different position. But notice again how this rhythm is being injected all the way up through Jeffrey's legs, all the way up to his spine. I mean, you can even see the torso. He kind of lets the torso begin to move as that rhythm is injected all the way up to the spine.
Feels so good.
And because Jeff is lying down, conditions of safety are met, balance is met, expansion starts to happen through the sensation of relief. You have a whole integration of these core sensations, which is part of why they're like vinyasa yoga sequences, because there's movement integrated with gravity shifts. All these things we're trying to figure out in the MBS method, how to get them to get in various versions that maybe aren't as dramatic, but we call our students to come to greater attention in these movements. And in my opinion, when you work with yoga with a disability, trauma, or loss, you actually are forced to become a better yoga student from inside to out. So on this last one, we're showing rhythm in a seated position, with the spine, connection, movement, changing the gravity and reference over the sitting bones, all these things that are not just rhythmic, but also so important to entering and withdrawing from the world. So the way that wheelchairs are often set up, because the worst thing for Joe would be, or me, would be to fall forward. So a lot of times the wheelchairs are set back at a slant, slightly past 90 degrees, which is great for one reason, but has a consequence of not ever coming forward over the sitting bones and back and forth. And so this is something we call dancing with Joe.
So Joe and I are going to dance. We've been doing this for a long time. I'm going to get as close as I can. So notice I put my foot in here. Joe has already turned his wheelchair off. Thank you very much, sir. I always get warm doing this, so I'm getting ready. We're going to lock arms. I'm going to keep my torso upright, so I'm not sinking in my chest, but my chest is lifted, and we'll just start coming forward. And when we come forward, Joe's going to lift his chest. That's it, and then come back. And so we're just finding a rhythm that works for both of us.
And you can tell that he has some balance issues. So I'm going to add a little bit of support here. I'm hardly doing anything, but it changes the whole movement and the extension of his spine. So he's getting, as you come forward, look up, right? Yeah. Come back through, right? Couple more. And then back, and then you go back behind the balance point, and you see that although you might see him out during the day and he's sitting back and it seems like this is a good position for him, and it is, but you can see that this space is very rarely occupied by his spine. And so again, one of the things that yoga does is help you live in more spaces. And so you wouldn't think about this space here for his spine as being really important, but it actually really is. You have another one too?
We have another one that we like to do together. So I'm going to get behind Joe. Joe clasps his arms, and again, this can be anything you want it to be. But I'm just going to get my arms in underneath his, so we're together. Again, giving myself a really solid base of support. And we're just going to kind of start going in circles. How's that feel, Joe?
This feels mint.
You wouldn't say, I wouldn't have guessed that. But the proof is always in the pudding. And this time the pudding is Joe. Right?
And so, Joe, you're pudding. He's putting in my hands.
Right. And so then I want you to feel that spine in the whole body, right? Like all the way down to the knees and making it go. So Joe, explain to me why that feels so good. I'm curious.
Just as movement in my whole spine.
Yeah, that's awesome. Man, here's a trick about your own yoga practice, but also about yoga in general. If you don't make some of it feel good, especially when you're teaching, not only are your students going to hate you if nothing feels good, if you don't make something in a yoga practice feel good, you're also not going to practice. One of the real elixirs of joy in a yoga practice is rhythm. Figure out how to give it and facilitate it with your students and with yourself. You know why? Because unless you keep coming back to yoga, unless you keep practicing, it won't be able to continuously give to you. These core sensations that we've been working on of grounding, expansion, balance, and rhythm are ways that universally anybody can do and feel these sensations, and they can be facilitated. And so in the idea that we don't want the physical performance of particular poses to be what defines asana in the MBS approach, we want core sensations to do this. And what you're going to see in subsequent videos, we actually think there's some universal principles that make asana possible that are able to be facilitated in a universal way. that makes us be able to share yoga from inside to out.